Greetings, I hope you are doing well. Welcome to a summary of week 10 on my pilgrimage here in the Holy Land. And this will actually be my last summary of my weeks here because I am leaving soon. I'm leaving in like less than a week, like a few days. I can hardly believe it and sad to be going. I've absolutely loved it here. So originally I was going to be staying for about almost 3 months because that's how long you are allowed to stay here with just like a visitor's passport or visa to be here. But I had to cut my trip short by about maybe nine days because of something that came up that I had to attend to. But anyway, it worked out perfect actually, because originally I was going to be going back to Jerusalem for my last like 9 days after I left the area I'm in now. So I've already been to Jerusalem, and actually I was just going to make it kind of like just a prayerful time, just to not film anything and just visit the holy sites very prayerfully. So God worked it out great because I won't be missing out on seeing what I've already seen by not staying that long. So yeah, all things work together for good when you follow and try to love God. So I'm here in a different hostel. You've got to see, I think, every hostel that I've been in so far on my pilgrimages. My pilgrimage, just one of them, my travels here. I'm in Tiberias now. Tiberias is on the west coast of the Sea of Galilee. So I made my way from Nazareth over here to Tiberias, and it only took like on a bus ride maybe about an hour to get here. So it was very close by. So I've been staying kind of in and around this area, traveling for the last few days. I forget exactly now. I've been here I'm going to be in this area for about a week and a half. So could be almost like a week I've been here. I forget. Time seems to just kind of morph when you're traveling, and I found that with other travelers too. You don't really know maybe what day of the week it is or things like that. You're kind of in a different world, literally different part of the world. So I've had a very eventful week here during this time. It's there's a lot to do here, a lot of new stuff. Also coming to the end of my pilgrimage, I'm trying to get like loose ends tied up, things that I had on my to-do list before I leave. So there's been a lot going on. So I kind of am a little bit tired today if I slip up in my words. I've been out in the hot sun, taking care of myself, making sure I'm cool and drinking things. But yesterday I think I was out a lot, so I slept in a little bit today. Just you can just feel it, and also trying to get everything done. But yeah, anyway, it's going great, and I'm so glad to be here. I think I said it in another video that I started off in Jerusalem, where Jesus died and rose again and got that whole experience. Then I headed off to Bethlehem, where he was born, to Nazareth, where he grew up, and now I'm in the Sea of Galilee area, where he did most of his public ministry, from when he was baptized in the Jordan River by John, maybe around the age of 30, and then till he died at 33 and he went to Jerusalem. So those 3 years he spent a lot of time in this area. It's actually been really beautiful reading those stories of what he did in this area from the Bible. And I have such a better understanding of, he crossed the lake and he went up here, and it's beautiful to be able to now visualize as best I can what happened during that time to Jesus when he was here. So I better get into it. So yeah, I left, took the bus here. I did my grocery shopping again, found a really good store here, took a bus when I arrived, got some groceries, came back again. Tiberias is like on a hill. It's on one of the hillsides. The Sea of Galilee, I was researching, and I think it said it was like, was it 13 kilometers by 24 kilometers? I could be wrong about that. And something like, was it 43 meters deep. I could be really wrong. I did the research at one point. But the whole sea, there's mountain ranges surrounding like the whole sea. So it's gorgeous. And I was out on a boat, which I'll tell you about later, and I was trying to see if you can see the shoreline from all sides. I think you can. Down farther in the south, I'm not sure if I could see it. I thought I saw buildings, but it seems like in the main area you can see the whole shore, and it's surrounded by mountains, and it's gorgeous. And I think it's probably the spot I've been that's been the most like authentic to what it would have looked like during the time of Jesus. Obviously, you can't like change the mountains, and there isn't a lot of built up towns around the area. Like Tiberias here is pretty built up, and there's another spot, I don't know the name of the town, a little bit farther north. But other than that, it really feels like you're in the Bible times. It gives you a very authentic feel of what it would have looked like back then. So the second day here, I met actually a girl at the hostel in Nazareth, and then she was coming here as well. She arrived the day after I arrived, and we were again partnered together. We didn't ask for it, we were just put together in the dorm. So we went together. She wanted to go see Yardenit, which is a baptism site here in the Jordan River. And it's not the spot where they think John the Baptist baptized Jesus. They think that's closer to Jericho. The Jordan River keeps going. But this is a site where a lot of people come to get baptized. So she wanted to go see it. So it was kind of on my list, even though I had been to the other spot, but I'm glad I did. So I went with her, and it was just beautiful to see all the people being baptized in the water. It was very moving, very happy experience. And then some other pilgrims had told me about a place just very close to that baptism site where you can swim. So we walked literally like 5 minutes, and it was this beautiful swimming spot in the Jordan River. So we had the best time. It was just wonderful. I'm not sure if we stayed for like an hour, and there was a bunch of people there, and it was just lovely and a really beautiful experience to be able to swim in the Jordan River. I was really happy that, again, God is directing all things, but someone had said to go there, and it was great. I had a wonderful experience. The next day, again, someone had suggested that I go to the Tiberias hot springs, and they're very close to the place where I'm staying here in Tiberias. So that girl I met went with me, and at the hot springs they have an archaeological park with ruins from the ancient city of Tiberias. So it's like a 2-in-1 deal, the hot spring and the ruins. So we got to look around, and they had a beautiful ruins of a synagogue. I guess there had been 4 synagogues built over top of it. And they had this mosaic from the ancient times, the early centuries, on the floor. And they had a video that explained it. And it was amazing to see this mosaic almost completely intact from those early times. And I made a YouTube short with that video in it, if you want to take a look at that. They also had the ruins of what the original hot spring that was there. So people would come from all over to the hot springs there. And then they have modern hot springs that you can get into. And I loved it. It was great. They had different temperatures, like 30, 35, and 40. And it was a hot day. But we stayed mostly in the coolish one. And they say there are like minerals, like healing products in it, and I saw it. I've been having a little bit of issues with one of my toenails, and being in the water, it got better. Like, and to this day it's better. So I kind of want to go back actually like one more time just to get my toe in there again. And then we got out of there, and again, someone had told us cross the road and there's like a free beach where you can go swimming in the Sea of Galilee. So the hot springs are like across the road from the Sea of Galilee. So we went down together and we swam in the Sea of Galilee, which is my second time swimming there. Just beautiful, cooler than the hot springs, obviously, wavy because there was a lot of boats on it. So we sat there and just enjoyed the beautiful view. The water's like bluish green, and again you see the hills all around. Then after that we loved the hot spring so much, we went back over across the road and we stayed in the hot spring again. Then we came back and we were both like tired. the heat of the day, and yeah, you could just feel it. Also, it being in the water, so just a nice feel. So that was a beautiful day. The next day, I went with the same girl again. And this has been the beautiful thing about traveling on my pilgrimage. Like, I love the combination of traveling alone yet meeting up with people. And because I've been staying in hostels, that's what's been happening. Like, we'll meet up with someone and they'll be like, I'm going here, do you want to come? And so yeah, it was really beautiful to be able to get my first 3 days in this area and experience with someone else, figure out the buses and things like that. So we went up to the Church of the Beatitudes, took a bus from Tiberias, again, like 40 minutes, not a long ride. And the Church of the Beatitudes is built on the Mount of the Beatitudes, where they believe Jesus gave his famous Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, where he just talked about prayer and life to many, many crowded there. And they think the church is built higher up and not at the actual spot. The actual spot is like farther down the hill, but being up at the church is beautiful. You just get a gorgeous view. It's a beautiful church. They have the Blessed Sacrament there. So it's like Jesus still preaching from the top of the mountain. And yeah, a gorgeous view. So we caught a bus back down the hill. And where did we go to next? I think we stopped off at a church, but then I'll tell you about that church after, but then we kept going and we walked maybe 40 minutes, and it was a hot day. It's getting hotter here in the summer. I can't imagine what it'd be like to stay here in July and August. Woo! June is getting hot. So we walked to Capernaum. And I had been to Capernaum before, quickly on a tour for like half an hour, but I was glad to go back, and I stayed for, I don't know, could have been at least an hour, maybe 2, just kind of praying and visiting all the sites there. So it's the town where they say Jesus probably stayed the most when he was in his ministry here. And it's just the ruins left of the town. Originally, I thought it was going to be like a thriving town like Nazareth or Bethlehem that's still active, but no, it's just ruins. Like, you pay to go into the ruins. And that's where the house of St. Peter is. They found this first century house that churches had been built up around it. So they know that it was an important place. And they think it probably became like a church, place of worship after Jesus died. They have a synagogue there that Jesus preached and healed people in. He also gave his famous discourse of being the bread of life in John chapter 6, I think, there. So being in Capernaum was lovely. I just spent a lot of time just sitting, praying, thinking about what happened there, sitting by the water, just looking at the view. This is seeing the water that the disciples would have been out in their boats at, that Jesus would have walked upon. Yeah, I was glad to just, again, be there for a long time and just like soak everything in. And then my friend had left. She had to catch a bus, so I was on my own. So I walked along the road from Capernaum that I had just walked to back to Tabgha, which was at the bottom of the hill when I came down from the Church of the Beatitudes. It was a hot day, but I walked and just gave like a tour, just walking along, and that's up also on my YouTube channel, just kind of discovering things and talking about things I saw. And there is a place there that's a cove in the water, like kind of like a U shape, and they call it the Bay of Parables, or the Sower's Cove. And that's the spot where they think Jesus got into the boat and gave the parable of the sower, like how a farmer, kind of a sower, went out and was sowing seeds, and some fell on good ground, some fell on bad ground. Kind of an analogy to us, like how our hearts have to be good soil so that when God's word comes, we produce like fruit and it doesn't get choked out by thistles. So as I was walking back, I was trying to find where that place was, because I looked at pictures of it on Google. So when I found it, I saw this little house that was in the picture, and I knew that was the spot, and you could tell. And they have tested it out acoustically and found that if a person sitting in a boat is talking to people on the shore, they've done this recently, that like 7,000 people could hear that one person. So it would have worked out perfectly for Jesus to give that parable from that boat. there was like a little hole in the gate and I was able to get down. I didn't do it while I was making the video, but I came back the next day and went down, and it was really cool. And there were thistles that got all over my skirt. So it connects to the parable of how the thistles will choke out, and then there was like, you could see fertile ground closer. So it was a beautiful spot for Jesus to give that analogy. Obviously he's God, he knows the best spots. So yeah, I kept walking, and then there's this cave. I think it's called Eremos Cave. It's very close to Tabgha, and I think Jesus could have prayed in this cave, like maybe when he went away to a place of solitude. And then if you keep going higher up, above the cave is where, when I researched, they said that's where they think the Sermon on the Mount actually took place. And it looks like it would have been. There's kind of a tree and little spots under the tree, and I could just really visualize it happening there. So I didn't know you could go above the cave, and you'll see in that walking tour, I'm like, oh, here's a path. And then I was so happy to be able to go up there and to pray in that cave. And actually, I'll tell you later, I'm going back to that area, and I'm going to spend some time in prayer there. So yeah, then there's 2 churches in Tabgha, which is again like maybe half an hour walk from Capernaum, walking back kind of down south on the west side of the Sea of Galilee. And there's the church of the multiplication of the loaves and the fishes. And that's where they think, I think it could have been after the Sermon on the Mount. There's so many people, they needed to feed them. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that, but I think it probably was that Jesus, the disciples got a little boy, I think, who had like 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And Jesus blessed them, and they were multiplied. And they fed everybody, and they had so much left over that they put them into 12 baskets. So they have a church there where they believe could have been that location. Excuse me. They also have a rock under the altar, and they think that could have been where Jesus blessed the loaves and fishes. So I went to that church. And then another church really close to there is where they think Jesus appeared on the shore after he rose to his disciples. They were in a boat fishing. They didn't know it was Jesus, and he told them to put their nets in because they weren't catching any fish. And then John noticed. Peter jumped in, swam to him. Jesus was preparing breakfast for them. And that's where Jesus said to Peter, like, do you love me? 3 times. And Peter said, yes. And he said, feed my lambs, feed my sheep. So the church is called the Primacy of Peter. And again, they have another huge rock where they think Jesus could have prepared the breakfast for his disciples. So just beautiful to be there, and just imagine all that happened there. I didn't spend a lot of time in prayer there. I plan to go back and do that. So yeah, that was seeing all those places. The next day, I had found out that there's something called the Seat of Moses. And Jesus talked about it in the gospel, and they said there was one found in Chorazin. And Chorazin is mentioned in the gospels. Jesus says, actually, woe to you, Chorazin, woe to you, Bethsaida. He was kind of unhappy, I guess, with these cities because miracles had been done there, and I guess they weren't repenting or turning to God. So I found Chorazin. I think Bethsaida is nearby. I'm not sure if you can go see there, but Chorazin is like a national park you can go and visit. And again, it's the ruins of the city. But I was able to see a replica of the Seat of Moses there. The real one was taken to a museum. And that's like a little chair that I guess the leaders of the faith, the Jewish faith, would sit upon and make proclamations. And Jesus referred to that because I guess those that were making it, Jesus said, like do what they tell you, but don't do as they do, because I think at that time they weren't practicing what they were preaching. So I saw a little replica there. And a neat thing that happened was on the way there, as I was walking, I took a bus and I got off and had to walk like half an hour, and it was really hot. Somebody picked me up and drove me to the park, and then I met 2 ladies at the park who gave me a ride back down the hill with them. So just a huge blessing from God, and just the kindness of the people here in the area. And then I stayed in that area. Like I think I said, I went back to the Sower's Cove, back to the cave, back to the churches, just like briefly, getting some videos actually there. So that was my day then. And then the next day, which was yesterday, I went to Magdala. I think that's how you pronounce it. And that's the place they believe is the hometown, or like the birthplace or where she lived, of Mary Magdalene. Again, it's a ruined city. A lot of the places are ruins, but for me, I just kind of picture what happens there, and then it comes alive to me, even though it's ruins. It was beautiful just to be there, and they had built a church there, and they have a large boat with the tabernacle in the boat. So it was a beautiful location. It was really hot, so it was nice to have those buildings to go into. And then, yesterday I also just walked along the road here, Tiberias, looked for some seashells on the shore, and just kind of soaking in the Sea of Galilee, just taking it in, making it a memory. So that kind of sums up this week. A lot happened. Glad that I'd saved up in other weeks. So this will be, I'm leaving, literally in like how many days? 3 or 4 days. So my last few days, I found a place to stay actually in Tabgha, which is right beside where the miracle of the loaves and fishes and where Jesus' apparition took place after he rose from the dead. So I'm going to be staying there for a few days, and I tried to get all the footage and stuff of those places, which thanks be to God I was able to do, done, because I just want to make that a really like prayerful, peaceful time of reflection. So those going to be my last few days before I head out of the Holy Land. So that's the end. It's just been a blessing beyond words to be here, and I'm so grateful to God, the saints and angels, especially the angels. Well, God especially, but like the angels, I have to give a shout out because they helped me. I prayed to them and asked them for guidance and help in creating all the videos. And yesterday I was just kind of walking along looking and saying, what just happened? Like, how did I even do what I just did? And I know it's God. I couldn't have done what I did. And I'm still amazed I did what I did. But the angels helped a lot too. And so did all my heavenly friends. But and I'm really happy that I was able to share this too. Thank you for following along, for praying for me, for supporting me. It's just been a joy to be able to share this with all of you. And I loved it so much. I want to do something else like this. I don't know when or how that will come about, but I'm really wanting to look into that and praying that God will give me another opportunity to do this. It's really been an interesting, because as I've been here like a pilgrim on my journeys, it's really kind of made me think of the analogy of life. We're all like pilgrims in this journey of life, and really being here and meeting people along the way. And it's been a beautiful, analogy of the pilgrimage we're on life and the journey to God. So, don't want to go, but it'll always be with me in my heart. So thank you so much for supporting me again, watching me, and sending love and prayers from this blessed place. Take care. Bye.